The trade, honestly, the trade is asymmetrical.
And who voted for Donald Trump?
Precisely. Trade is asymmetrical with China. We imported over 439 billion products from China. We exported over 140 billion from China. Their own foreign ministry has said, we will not flinch. We will not genuflect to a bullying government. I respectfully disagree.
You know, Tiffany, that we rely so much on an adversary to make most of our goods?
Listen, whether it bothers me or not is irrelevant. I'm dealing with
but it's
reality.
Important, though.
It is important, but this is what it is.
Why does it have to be the reality that we are dependent on so many things to come out of our biggest adversary in the world? They are the enemy, and we should not be dependent on them.
But no, they are not our enemy. They're our biggest trading partner. And
they've got rare earth minerals, and you don't.
They're the enemy.
Right. But listen, but like it or not, sure, Michael, they are our biggest trading partner. And if we were to manufacture iPhones here, iPhones would cost $3,500. The American people are not going to tolerate that. We have one of the highest standards of working conditions here. I don't think that we can say, forget you, China. They
so
literally.
Okay. So you're okay. Hold on, sure, Michael. Yeah, so you're okay if we continue to put our own economic and national security future in the hands of our biggest enemy, because effectively they use slave labor to build stuff, and that makes it better for us. That is terrible.
I am 100% not okay with that, but I'm dealing in the reality of what is.
It's nice how people who are supportive of the policy to keep things as is, to keep the status quo of trade with China, and still say that they're not okay with China using slave labor. And the same people talk about how Americans will not tolerate the fact that their iPhones now cost more. So it's okay for slave labor so that Americans can keep their cheap products or cheaper products.
Change it,
but we need to.
I absolutely want to change it. I don't know that changing it means isolating us on the global stage.
So what happens
with these tariffs?
If I could ask, what happens if we ever have a military conflict with China and they say, you know what, we're going to put an embargo on anything shipping to the United States. We're going to stop everything. What happens then? Politically, you know, my advice to the president on this one would be continue to focus on strengthening the economy. You got to figure out a way to bring down cost. Keep doing what you're doing as it pertains to immigration. We need to increase chip manufacturing within the United States. There are several political things that I think that he needs to do.
All right, hold on. Okay. All right, Chair Michael, I get it. Yes, he should focus on the economy.
Yeah, he should.
But what do you think about the fact that he's targeting his political enemies using executive orders and telling his Justice Department?
But we are focused on it, Sir Michael, and you just said, but Sir Michael,
can I answer?
Well, you haven't answered, but you have not answered.
I did answer. I just didn't answer the way you wanted me to answer. You don't get to dictate my comments to my response on this show.
Why is it that people who lean left tend to be so aggressive with the way they debate? You find people who debate like Michael and Scott, they are calm, they are measured with their language, and then you have other commentators who lean left and they act like this. They raise their voices, they talk over you, they use offensive language, they make it sound as if they are being oppressed. Meanwhile, they are the ones who are screaming the loudest and creating a distraction when the other person is trying to answer the question. You know, it's really frustrating to watch this, and they expect to be treated like they are the reasonable party.
Directed to the issue, the very question that she asked, and furthermore, Sir Michael, you just said on this set, the last segment, talk about this not being an uncertain.
Tiffany, 1 second.
Go ahead.
I mean, listen, Chair Michael, you're a friend of the show. You're my friend. Please answer the question.
I answer the question the way I want.
No,
nobody's going to dictate the way I answer questions on this show. You may not like the way I answer the question, but I gave an answer. No, I don't like that. We're not going to do dictating reply the way I want you to reply. Then just don't ask me a question if you don't like my response. I mean, this is ridiculous.
Chair Michael, you don't get to.
Do we not live in a democracy now?
You don't get to
we
just
talked a lot about a democracy tonight.
You don't get to just change the subject to avoid having to say something that might be perceived as negative about Donald Trump.
You just didn't like my answer to your question.
That's what it seems like. If you were a politician, a regular person on the street would say, well, that sounds like spin to me.
No, you asked a question.
Because it does sound
and
like
my response to your question was, instead of doing this, the president should be focused on X, Y, and Z. That is an answer to the question.
So Abby Phillips wanted him to lean into the conversation around, I think she wanted him to talk about the fact that he was using executive orders to target his political opponents. Let me know in the comment section which executive order targets his political opponents. I haven't been following as closely as I normally do because in the last month I've got a lot going on the private front with and funeral preparations and so on. So I haven't been as keen on the political discourse, especially with the executive orders. Let me know in the comment section which one she's referring to that has targeted his political opponents. He has responded by saying, instead of focusing on all those things, let his energy be focused on strengthening the economy. And they didn't like the fact that he refused to pile on and say how he was using executive orders to attack his political enemies. Was this the way they handled things when Biden and his government were doing the same to their political opponents? That's a question. Let me know in the comment section. Send a link to in the comments to let everyone know that they actually did or didn't. Don't forget to use the link in the show notes to take advantage of the free Audible trial that will let you listen to any book of your choice or listen to the recommended books in the show notes. And YouTube believes that this video up here will be a great one for you to watch next.
You cannot just go and say, I like it, it's mine now. It doesn't work that way. Well, that is what they're trying to do. And in this new world order, yeah, absolutely. When they're looking at Greenland and say, I like it, I want to take it for mine, that is a very colonizing.
I have never ever said we're going to go to Greenland and quote colonize it or steal it.
You're not a member of government, so you're irrelevant at that point. I'm talking about the president of the United States doing that.
You got fired from your job.
You can agitate.
If you want to engage in personal insults,
but you
what you lack in the legitimate point, you make up for in personal input.
I don't. You
personal insults. The point I am making is in this new world order, we are looking at countries, whether or not they're an adversary or ally, it is being determined on what kind of deal we can get. And we cannot govern, we cannot legislate that way. We are increasingly isolated on the world stage.
No, we're not.
So if you want to engage in personal insults,
we're not
if I were you, I would reserve that for your party, who is increasingly isolated. This our position
outside of the United States.